What is up? GoodMicWork back at you with your post-payback Monday Night Raw review for May 2nd, 2016. I thought tonight's show, much like Payback last night, was solid. Nothing great and spectacular, but nothing really bad either. I enjoyed a good portion of the show tonight. I'm going to get into it right in order here. Won't waste any time. Let's jump right in. Show opens up with a Shane and Stephanie promo, as we figured it probably would. They go on to talk a little bit. I don't even remember really what they were discussing, but you can tell this cooperation between the two of them right now is not going to last long, and there's going to be some disputes, and that's probably going to wind up and to lead to a match at some point for control of Raw. In the meantime, they're going to try to work together. They get interrupted by Kevin Owens, who was awesome. I love seeing Kevin Owens out there with the McMahons, especially with Shane. He starts talking about his desire to be the Intercontinental Champion again, and that he never really got his rematch, and that he is demanding that he gets that Intercontinental title rematch basically immediately, which prompts Cesaro to then come out. You can see where this is going. From the minute Kevin Owens' music hits, I was thinking to myself, all right, they're going to set up from some sort of a four-way, or at least a three-way, at the next pay-per-view for the IC title. Cesaro comes out there and says, hey, if it weren't for you, I'd be Intercontinental Champion right now. I had the Miz beat last night, but because you and Sami Zayn were fucking around on the outside of the ring, you screwed my match up, so I deserve a rematch for the Intercontinental title just as much as you do. So Shane and Stephanie agree to put the two of them in a number one contenders match that would take place right there on the spot. The Miz was out there also doing commentary for this thing, so you knew he was going to get involved somehow. This is going to somehow wind up being a disqualification. I think I tweeted that 20 minutes before the match was even over. The Miz gets involved. Cesaro, I think, nails him with an uppercut. They all start brawling. Kevin Owens and the Miz actually start double-teaming Cesaro, which causes Sami Zayn to do a run, and we knew we were going to see him. He comes in there and cleans house and stands by himself holding the Intercontinental title, and I gotta say, it looked really good on him. I didn't have any problem at all with his loss last night. I think I even mentioned it in my commentary. If he turns around and wins the Intercontinental title or something like that, then the clean loss to Kevin Owens is meaningless. These two guys go so far back. I want them to have a long, storied rivalry in the WWE. So if Sami Zayn winds up winning the Intercontinental title in this multi-man match that I'm sure we're going to get at Extreme Rules, Kevin Owens can be pissed off again and say, God damn it, I didn't get a fair shake again. I want my Intercontinental title match. And then Zayn and Owens can feud all summer long, or at least a portion of the summer, because WWE moves so damn quickly these days. But I like the potential for it, and I like that Kevin Owens, unlike a lot of other guys, when they have a small run with the Intercontinental title, and then they drop it, they just forget about it. Kevin Owens is pissed. He wants it back. It seemed like once Dean Ambrose lost it, he didn't give a shit about it again. Once Ryback lost it, he didn't give a shit about it again. I like to see Owens say, no, damn it, that's my belt, and I want it. And when you think about it, it's a pretty decent Intercontinental title division right now. When you look at those four guys, other than The Miz, who I love his character and his persona right now, probably I like The Miz more now than I ever have in my life, but still, The Miz is not the same to me as a guy like Cesaro or Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. So when you have those three guys as being your top contenders for the Intercontinental title, how in the fuck on this planet can anybody complain about that? That's great. That's who you want competing for the Intercontinental title. So much like the tag team division kind of had a little revival a few years ago. Remember when things were really hot with the Rhodes brothers and the Shield and some of the tag team matches they were having back then, and it seemed like the tag team titles became important again? Maybe these guys can help the Intercontinental title in the same way. So here's to hoping that happens. Next up, we had a backstage segment with Gallows and Anderson and AJ Styles. They were talking about AJ's match with Roman Reigns last night and how they are guaranteeing that he is not going to come out a loser after Extreme Rules. And just as they're saying that, Roman Reigns walks up and he's like, oh, really? And he gets in their face. AJ Styles just got done, talking about that he got beat legit straight up by Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns reciprocated the respect and say, I earned a lot of respect for you last night after our match. But then also goes on to say that he hates Gallows and Anderson, and he's wondering if the three of them would be able to take on him and the Usos in a six-man match in the main event. So that was going to be our final segment for Monday Night Raw. My stream was acting a little funny in and out tonight. One of the segments that I mostly missed was whatever the hell went on between R-Truth and Fandango and Goldust and Tyler Breeze. I know there was dancing involved, so I missed that whole thing. Apparently Harley Race was shown on camera as well. I don't know if that was backstage. I don't know if that was in the crowd. I never saw that, but Raw was in St. Louis tonight, so, that's a town that's very rich in wrestling history. We had a New Day promo up next where they came out and talked about Enzo a little bit as well, wished him well, put up a picture on the Titantron or the tweet that he sent out of him outside the hospital in his hospital gown. A lot of people extremely relieved that he's going to be okay. He's got a concussion. He's going to have to pass some tests, and it's definitely not something minor. A concussion is a serious deal, especially in today's day and age, but considering how bad it could have been and how scary that injury was and how we all thought the worst last night, you know, it's excellent news, and I think a lot of fans were just relieved and happy that it wasn't any worse for Enzo. Vaudevillains interrupted and used this opportunity to try to get some heat on themselves by talking shit about Enzo, which you knew they would do. The Dudleys then came out as well and said, hey, you know, Vaudevillains, you guys are acting like you're the new number one contenders. You didn't beat anybody last night. Why don't we settle this right now and reevaluate why you think you deserve to be the number one contender? And they want to, like, start the tournament over. Whatever winds up happening, my stream, again, was in and out. It led to a 8-man tag team match with the Dudleys and the Vaudevillains taking on all 3 members of the New Day and Big Cass, who came out there by himself and cut a promo as well and wasn't half bad. But he looked like $1 million tonight. He was going out there and representing and fighting for his fallen friend. He ended up scoring the pinfall by going absolutely bananas and knocking the hell out of everybody, and he looked very, very strong. We also had a women's match between Becky Lynch and Emma. Emma scored the victory by thumbing Becky in the eye and nailing her with her finisher. At least I think it's her finisher. It's like a Michinoku driver. Gets the win on her. So it's nice to see that maybe Emma can get some victories under her belt, maybe get some traction. I think she's a good worker. She got in a lot of trouble a while back, of course, when she stole that iPad case or whatever the fuck it was from Walmart. Seems like she's almost had to start over, so she's kind of got a little bit of a new attitude now. I like her. She's not as goofy as she was when she was out there dancing with Santino Marella or some of the other dumb stuff she was doing, so I like it, and hopefully she can be another player in the women's division. The women's division is strong. In one of the most horrific events of the night, we suffered a terrible loss in the pro wrestling industry. We saw a live murder tonight on Monday Night Raw. Mitch is no longer with us. Dean Ambrose has an Ambrose Asylum that was set up earlier on backstage with Stephanie McMahon, where she invites herself on to be a guest and tells Dean, you can ask me anything you want. Dean gets Stephanie out there. He starts, kind of half-assly insulting her a little bit, as only Dean can do. Stephanie takes all of his bullshit and then takes the mic and informs him that since she's in charge, she is going to cancel the Ambrose Asylum. The Ambrose Asylum is no more, and it's going to be replaced with the highlight reel that Shane canceled a couple of weeks ago, and Chris Jericho comes out. I love this because earlier on in the day, Jericho tweeted that he was basically leaving the WWE, said it's been real, we'll see you next time. I made reference to it last night that I thought that Jericho's time in WWE could be wrapping up and he might take a few months off before we see him again. I actually still think that's going to happen, but what I like is that Jericho, in typical Jericho fashion, trolls the fans and fucks with them, tells them he's leaving, and then he surprises all of us by showing up, and nobody leaked that either. Everybody was talking about the tweet, Jericho must be done with WWE, but nobody saw him at the airport, nobody saw him backstage, nobody let it out that he was there, so when he came out, I thought it was awesome. I still think Jericho was going to leave. He just broke the news maybe a little bit early, so I think he'll wind up having a match with Dean Ambrose, with maybe the winner gets the show or something like that, or if they want to have co-shows, kind of have how they have GMs of Raw right now with Shane and Steph. What if Ambrose and Jericho hosted a show at the same time? That would be a clusterfuck. So who knows what they're going to do, but eventually I think Dean Ambrose will finish off Chris Jericho and Jericho will go off on his latest hiatus. But as far as his actions tonight go, Jericho is a monster, an absolute monster. It's bad enough that he attacks Dean Ambrose and destroys the set, but then he has to take Mitch, poor defenseless fucking Mitch, picks him up and smashes Dean Ambrose in the back of the head with him, scattering Mitch's guts all over the ringside area. It was fucking gruesome. Dean Ambrose is going to go fucking sling blade on this guy. And man, Jericho, I don't know if I can forgive you for that, you asshole. They decided to have a battle royal to determine the new number one contender for Kalisto's United States title. Of course, he beat Ryback on the kickoff show last night, and the news going around is that Ryback was sent home from Monday Night Raw or sent home from the WWE. Apparently his contract is coming up, which I had no idea. I even think I said last night in my commentary that I don't know what the future holds for him, and the future might hold nothing. He's been in some contract negotiations, apparently, that haven't been going well, and they're not sure what to do with him, so they sent him home from tonight's show. So he's off TV for a while. while, so that's fine with me. I mean, Ryback, I kind of hope he does go. The cool thing about Ryback is that that's not going to make Ryback any worse for the wear. He can get booked independently anywhere. I mean, think of TNA salivating at the opportunity to get a guy like that, a guy that's been so featured on WWE TV for a few years. They will definitely throw some money at him if they have any fucking left. He's been on TV long enough where he can definitely get a paycheck somewhere. Even Japan could be an option for him. So if he winds up leaving, fine. If he winds up sticking around, fine. I wish him the best. But a little break from Ryback and having him off TV for a while is not something that I'm going to complain about. But now we got to find a new number one contender for the United States title. And the last few guys in the ring were the 3 League of Nations members and Zack Ryder. For a second, I thought maybe Zack could win it and hold the U.S. belt for one day or something like that as a joke or whatever. But what wound up happening was Rusev got the victory here. I was kind of thinking Sheamus. I was even thinking Del Rio again, possibly. I actually wasn't thinking Rusev, but he did wind up winning. I'm fine with that. I loved when Rusev was U.S. champion before. Now he's going to get a title shot against Kalisto, assumingly at Extreme Rules is where I'm guessing this will happen. Hopefully not on the pre-show. But what's ironic is that John Cena is about to come back. Does John Cena want his United States title back when he does get back to the main roster? Does he even care about it anymore? If he does, I just think that's fucking hilarious that Rusev is going to win back the United States title just in time for John Cena to come back and take it off of him. So if that winds up happening, that's something that can't even make me mad. It just makes me laugh. But that might not even be the plan. John Cena could have nothing to do with the United States title when he comes back. Maybe that was all in the past now, and he wants to do something else. But when you think about it, Rusev would make a better opponent for Cena than Kalisto. Although I think Kalisto and Cena could have a fun match. Rusev is the type of opponent that Cena would want to go against. And considering that he's coming back, I think on Memorial Day or close to it. Actually, let me pull up my calendar and look here. Okay, the Memorial Day is the 30th. That's the day John Cena returns. But Extreme Rules is on the 22nd. So maybe Rusev will hold it for 1 week. Maybe he'll win it from Kalisto. Then the next night on Raw, he'll have his rematch with Kalisto and get rid of him. And then the week later, he will take on John Cena in a match that Shane will probably make. And John Cena wins the goddamn United States title on fucking Memorial Day. They might do that. Who knows? But if they don't, hopefully we'll find out what John Cena will be up to now that he is about to be back on the main roster. But right now we got a Kalisto versus Rusev feud. I don't know if Kalisto is going to slay another giant. If John Cena comes back and has nothing at all to do with the United States title, then that changes the whole outcome of this thing. If they did put the belt back on Rusev, I would actually be okay with it if he was the one that ended Kalisto's reign. A little guy like that who was kind of an underdog and wasn't really supposed to win that title to begin with, he's had a pretty impressive run. So if he winds up dropping it, I'm fine. We had a Charlotte and Ric Flair segment up next where they were going to explain themselves, that weird-ass match, the Chicago Shenanigans I've been calling it, where they pulled a fast one and screwed over poor Natty and paid off Charles Robinson to ring the bell, with Charlotte putting Natty in the sharpshooter. So they recreated the Montreal Screwjob, the assholes. They go out there and declare their innocence, and they call out Charles Robinson, and for the first time in 16 years, WWE finally acknowledges the fact that there is history between Charles Robinson and the Flair family, going all the way back to WCW. I don't know what took them so long to acknowledge that. Vince was probably completely unaware of it until somebody told him, and he's like, holy shit, no kidding, let's do something with that. But he refuses to admit to any wrongdoing. Natty comes out there and confronts the two of them, and again, I start having stream issues, so I don't know what led to the brawl, but I know Natty kicks the hell out of Charlotte, and then she grabs Ric Flair and puts him in the sharpshooter. So Brett had him in the sharpshooter last night, Natty had him in the sharpshooter tonight. It's a rare occurrence to see a woman beat up another woman and her father. That's pretty awesome. The main event was up next, 6-man match, AJ Styles teaming up with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson taking on Roman Reigns and the Usos. This was a pretty good match too. I enjoyed it. They end up having a pretty good outing out there, and AJ Styles and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are all kind of new to the WWE, and they went out there on a main event of Raw, like they own the goddamn place. And they were victorious on top of that. AJ got the pin, beating one of the Usos, and an overall really good match. And then the end of the match saw Anderson and Gallows start attacking Roman Reigns on the outside of the ring as AJ's trying to catch his breath in the ring. They bring in Roman Reigns and grab a steel chair and hand it to AJ, and they hold him up and demand that AJ hits Roman Reigns. And that image, when I was watching the screen, I was like, wow. The camera went to a wide angle there, the hard camera, and you could see Anderson and Gallows holding Roman Reigns with their backs turned, with AJ standing there right in the middle with the steel chair. If you were to take a snapshot of that image, and as a matter of fact, if I do find one, I'm going to use that as my thumbnail for this video because it was awesome. But could you imagine taking a snapshot of that very image right there and showing it to us maybe 6 months ago with no explanation? The fans would have shit their pants seeing something like that. So tonight they're finally trying to move all this along. They're not going to stall too much on this. Of course, AJ doesn't want to do it. He's still the good guy. He does not want to hit Roman Reigns and do him like that because he does have respect for Roman Reigns. And then things start getting all fucked up when the Usos come back into the ring after AJ throws the chair down. One of the Usos grabs it and nails AJ Styles with it. AJ then winds up getting his hands on the chair and beats the hell out of both Usos just as Roman Reigns is coming to, and he sees that and then goes completely out of his mind, viciously attacking AJ Styles. I loved it. Roman was mean. He was nasty. It was like when he kicked the shit out of Triple H. He is literally throwing AJ Styles from one end of the outside of the ring to the other, finally takes him over to the announce table, gives him a running power bomb through the announce table, and leaves AJ Styles destroyed. And I love that because the whole thing was just a misunderstanding. If Roman would have seen, I don't know how he didn't notice this. I don't know how he didn't see AJ Styles throw the chair down. Roman should have appreciated that, but apparently all Roman Reigns saw was AJ beating the hell out of his cousins with the steel chair, and he went nuts. So you see those heel tendencies out of Roman Reigns. I think we're beyond a swerve at this point because you're not going to see Roman teaming up with Anderson and Gallows now. It's been too long. So they can't go in that direction, but they could eventually have AJ join up and maybe reform some sort of rendition of the Bullet Club out of necessity because Roman Reigns drove him to this. AJ tried to do the right thing, and he got his ass kicked for it. So fine, I'm going to stand with my buddies now, and it's on. It's war. Roman, at the same time, he's a full-fledged tweener. I noticed on Payback, too, I even tweeted a picture of it. Go to my Twitter page, at GoodMicWork, and scroll through some of my pics, and you'll see what I tweeted last night. When they were showing the video package of AJ Styles and Roman Reigns, they showed some footage of WrestleMania, and they were sure to include about 3 seconds of the big WrestleMania logo with a whole bunch of fans' hands doing the thumbs down sign when Roman Reigns had defeated Triple H. So WWE is not pretending the boos don't exist. I think sometimes they still edit the boos for some reason. There's even a news story that I saw. I just saw the headline. I didn't read it, but apparently WWE might have edited a sign, an anti-Roman Reigns sign or something like that on TV. So sometimes you think they're bullshitting themselves, but then they turn around and acknowledge the fact that Roman Reigns is not liked by everybody, and even JBL had mentioned the boos tonight. I really think he's different than John Cena. I mean, I understand the argument that it's John Cena 2.0 because the similarities of WWE pushing this guy when we don't want him, but he's not the same character at all. You know, yeah, he's got a lot of young fans out there. He's going to do a Make-A-Wish thing. Somebody had told me on Twitter, GoodMicWork, he's just like John Cena. He came out and hugged that kid, that Make-A-Wish kid, or whatever, a couple of weeks ago. Well, any babyface champion is going to do that. You know, that doesn't automatically mean they're just like John Cena. Roman Reigns happens to be a babyface champion. The next babyface champion will also do that. It's what the WWE does. It's not what John Cena does. WWE has got that charity itch, and they want to do things for kids all the time. So if you have a babyface champion on top, that's the type of shit a babyface champion will do. Unless you're The Undertaker or Brock Lesnar or something like that, somebody that just doesn't do stuff like that. Otherwise, you're going to see that. So it's an unfair comparison to make. Plus, Roman Reigns is a little darker. He can get mad. This is the second or third time in just a couple of months we've seen him lose his mind. John Cena only goes to the extreme once in a fucking blue moon. He'll do it, but he won't do it in nearly as a believable way as Roman Reigns does. I mean, Roman Reigns truly looks vicious and scary, where when John Cena takes it to the extreme, he doesn't really look that way so much. You know how they say John Cena's Superman? I think Roman Reigns is more like Batman. So the fact that they're making him a little bit of a tweener, even though it's probably still 70% babyface, 30% heel, at least he has a darker side to him. And if the WWE wants to drag their feet or eventually turn him heel or never turn him heel, I don't know. I think it's ignorant to say, and I've had a lot of people tell me this in the last 24 hours, that WWE is never going to turn him heel. Never, ever, 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 ever. To say that with such certainty, I think is stupid. You never want to put yourself in that position. I thought the Undertaker's streak would never, ever, ever, ever end, and look at me now. So I think it's ridiculous and preposterous to say of a guy who's going to be in the company for so many years, he's so young with so many years ahead of him, that he's never going to turn heel. I think that is highly unlikely, and I don't think they're going to do with him what they did with John Cena and force him down our throat as a babyface for a decade. I cannot see them doing that with Roman Reigns. I can see them doing it for a little while, but eventually they're going to have to change it up, and they kind of already are. Roman Reigns can snap, Roman Reigns can be vicious, and Roman Reigns can show some heelish tendencies where we see none of that out of John Cena. So I'm a big believer in not rushing things, but at the same time, they have been doing this with Roman Reigns for a while now, well over a year, so it probably is time to pull the trigger soon, or at least just make him his own man. You know, really, when you think about it, what did Roman Reigns do tonight that Brock Lesnar wouldn't have done? Don't you think Brock Lesnar would have reacted the same way? And fans love his character. So I think there's some work to do with Roman Reigns, no question. I am definitely not Team Roman yet. I'm not quite a fan of his WWE title run because the fans are so against it, but this current feud with AJ Styles is helping. And his match last night at Payback was great. I'd say it's definitely a candidate for match of the year so far. I mean, we're only 5 months in, but so far from what we've seen, that's right up there at the top. And hopefully they'll give us some fun storylines this summer. WWE will not shut up about the history between AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson from Japan. We know Finn Balor has got an association with those guys too. He recently dropped the NXT title. He'll be up on the main roster hopefully very soon. We still have potential to see some really good stuff. I think fans get way ahead of themselves sometimes. I've been saying this for years, is that it always seems like the fans act as if the last pay-per-view they saw was the last one that's ever going to happen. And if they don't get the outcome that they want, they're convinced that they're never going to get it ever. I had people bitching at me last night that Sami Zayn was dead after his loss to Kevin Owens, and one night later, he's in the Intercontinental title hunt. So I'm all for criticizing WWE when they make stupid decisions and they go in dumb storyline directions, but as far as this one with AJ Styles, the fact that Roman Reigns didn't turn heel last night, I don't give a shit. The match was fucking badass. The match tonight on Raw was badass. The ending was awesome, the way Roman Reigns snapped like that. The storyline is not horrible, and I think the WWE might be meeting the fans halfway here, where at least if they hate Roman Reigns and they don't want him, at least they're putting him with opponents that are fun to see. They're not making AJ Styles look bad or burying him. Hell, he basically scored 2 victories over Roman Reigns last night and nearly had him beat in that third fall as well, and he got the victory tonight on Monday Night Raw. So it's not like Roman Reigns is going out there burying guys like John Cena did or Triple H or whatever. So I think everybody owes it to Roman Reigns to give him a tiny bit of a break. So far, his title reign since WrestleMania has not been that bad. His title victory was horrendous, I'll agree with everyone there, but his reign so far through the very first pay-per-view is not going horribly, and I am actually entertained by it so far, and I'm optimistic for the future. Hopefully WWE will do some fun storyline shit revolving around AJ and the Japan boys and Roman Reigns, and maybe even the Usos. Don't you think it's time to turn them heel? I'm almost sick of their association with Roman Reigns because it's getting them booed. The crowd seems to be on their case now because they're so closely related to Roman Reigns. So I would like to see either Roman beat the hell out of them or them beat the hell out of Roman. Or at least separate themselves from him for a little while. They got to do something. We got Seth Rollins nearing his return. Within the next 1 to 3 months, we're probably going to see him back on TV. We've got Cena coming back on Memorial Day. We've got some big names at NXT that could be making their way to the main roster soon. We got AJ Styles, a guy that we never thought we would see in the WWE, not only being here, but getting fucking title shots. We've got Shane McMahon back on TV, who the fans seem to love, and even though he's not totally in charge, he's still an authority figure, and the fans seem to much prefer seeing him over Stephanie or Triple H or Vince, even though the McMahons are still smeared here in 2016 all over this WWE product. Last night when I saw Shane and Vince and Stephanie all in the ring together, I was thinking to myself, where's Trish and Linda? I mean, we have been seeing this shit forever, and I really hope that the Shane and Stephanie alliance does not last too long. I mean, they're going to have to drag it probably through the next pay-per-view. Maybe Extreme Rules is a complete debacle. Maybe so much crazy shit goes down. Vince McMahon comes out the next night on Raw and says, this is not going to work. You guys cannot coexist. You damn near killed our company last night with that atrocious pay-per-view and all these guys getting hurt and injured. So we're going to have a match at whatever the next one is. I think Money in the Bank, and perhaps the control of Raw will be on the line, or in a Triple H versus Shane match, or in a Team Stephanie versus Team Shane match. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. All I know is eventually the cooperation between the two will have to come to an end. You know that. So hopefully whatever they do as far as that storyline goes will not suck. That is about it for tonight. I do want to mention one other thing. I said that I was going to check out Camp WWE on the WWE Network, and I was going to do that last night after the pay-per-view. I never got around to doing it, so I'm going to try to do it tonight. So far, I've had a lot of people tell me it was funny. I'm a big South Park guy. I love Family Guy. I love American Dad. I like animation comedies like that, so hopefully this Camp WWE is something similar. So far, people are telling me it's pretty funny, and also people were asking me if I was aware of Dolph Ziggler's brother. Yes, I am. That's horrible. I think I remember reading something about that months back when the murder first happened, but apparently there's an arrest warrant out for him. I don't know if they've got him or not, but basically he's going to be charged with murder, and that's pretty scary. So my heart goes out to Dolph Ziggler. I hope he's holding up okay. I couldn't imagine having a sibling or a close family member involved in something like that. I don't even know how I would react to it or what my feelings on it would be. I mean, do you stand by your family in something like that, or do you not? It's just, it's a situation that I don't envy, and I wish Dolph Ziggler and his family nothing but the best. So that is it for me. I am out of here. I will be working on that Q&A this week. I do have a very busy week in my personal life, but I should find time to get it done. I figure there's no rush. It'll come to you in the next several days. Hopefully I can have it up by the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. But there's a chance it could spill over into a week from now. Either way, that will be my next non-Raw review video that I release. So keep a lookout for that, and I will catch you either on the Q&A or next week after Monday Night Raw. Until then, peace.